Okay, everybody, can everybody see that slide?
Yep.
Okay, so clearly we're starting with Lori Lester. And so these are sort of put together in random order, kind of like how the order in which you sent them in, but not necessarily. And also at the end of the slides, if any of you have pieces in your hand that you want to show and discuss on the video, actually you could even do it during the slideshow too, if you have more than the photos, we can do that too. So Lori, you want to talk about your pieces here?
Okay, well, clearly this one has a nice crack in it and I am in the process of remaking it. I have been experimenting with using underglaze and using it to try and make it look like sand. And so I have this piece and this, and then this other piece also. This is the original piece I did trying to make sand with underglaze. I basically paint the underglaze on some wax paper and let it dry out, and then crumple it up with my fingers, which is tedious and it ends up being kind of painful on the fingers after a while. So I'm playing with different ways to try and make it a little bit easier to do that.
Oh. Oh.
And then I have Bad Santa. I made this a couple of years ago at the See Me Senior Center in Jeannie's class. We were messing around and I decided to make Bad Santa that's smoking and drinking a beer. Just something kind of fun. Just the typical use of underglaze and just painting it on. And that's it.
Do people have questions for Laura?
How large is the landscape one, the first one?
That one is about 10 by 12 inches. And then I have one that just came out of a bisque fire that I'm going to do that's probably 14 by 17.
Be nice to see it from some other angles. It's kind of hard to imagine what it is like in profile, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty flat. The waves themselves, they only stick up maybe half an inch or so.
Oh, it almost looks like it could be a brick, you know, because of the spatial, the sea going back in space, kind of almost like the front.
Yeah, yeah, it does actually.
A brick.
Is this for a wall hanging?
Yes, either that or I have a couple that I've made that are smaller that can just sit in like a plate holder. But if I'm going to hang it on the wall, that one that has the crack in it actually has some loops on the back of it to hang it on a wall. The larger one that I just did, I'm going to mount in some sort of a box to hang it.
All right, last call for Lori. Okay, next is Jeannie.
Goodness.
Wow.
So this piece is raccoon fired, and of course the design is all velvet underglazes. And I did that a few years ago. Now this is a variety of processes. The top one is marbleizing slips. The second one was a design pressed in, and then oxides or probably an underglaze to color in the design and the surface wiped off. The third one down is using the slips in the technique, you know, putting the slips on newspaper and trying to cross using stencils. And the bottom one is using slips with the yarn, where you put the slip on the yarn and wrap it on your piece, then pull the yarn down, and it creates a flower design. So 4 different ways of working with colored slips. And the discs are all hanging together. This is a wall piece. And then I had a challenge for my Thursday night class in Santa Barbara this past year to do, we were doing the Yakima pottery. And these are 2 pieces that I did using, again, the velvet underglazes and fired cone 6 and no glaze on top, just the velvets themselves.
Jeannie, did you paint those on or,
Yes, those are all painted on. Mhm.
wow,
I used a pencil to start the design, and the designs just kind of developed as I went along. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to use until I did a section and thought, well, let's see what we can fit into that little area. And it was a lot of fun. It was a challenge, and based on designs from the Acoma pottery that we were looking at.
Was
So a
that
lot
a
of
one
fun.
fire? Was that one
It's,
fire?
it's electric fire cone 6.
Did you apply the underglazes on after the bisque or when it was?
No glaze, no glaze. It's a B mix, cone 5-6 B mix, and then it's a black velvet and cinnamon
cinnamon.
underglaze. Mhm.
Do you
Mhm.
underglaze on bisque or greenware?
I go on greenware because that way, if you need to make any corrections, you can do it on the bisque.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Any more questions for Jeannie?
Oh, if you did this on greenware, it's not glazed. Do you just do a single firing, except that you just said you can correct it after bisque? So I guess I just
Yeah.
asked one question.
Yeah, if you have a kiln load of just this, yes, you could do a single firing, but these are in with other things. So I bisqued and then I did
Yeah.
did the mid-range fire.
Did you find you had to go back and fix things on it afterwards?
No,
Yeah.
I pretty
Yeah.
much had it done the first
Yeah.
time.
I
And
did,
what's
I did
nice-
quite a few like that. I just did with a greenware and put it on there and then fired it, and it came out pretty darn good. I was surprised.
Yeah, especially I did it on greenware, like when I was doing the checkerboard. If I kind of went over my lines a little bit, I could, kind of just carve that little bit off. Clean up the square
Those are
checkerboards.
nice. Those are nice.
And I did take a brush that with a long brush, it was longer. And I cut most of the bristles off, so it was small, so I could do finer lines.
Mm.
Actually, probably cut off 90% of the bristles, so I can get the nice smaller lines.
I have
Anyway,
a
it's a good challenge. You should all really try it. It's really a good challenge in understanding, and then an appreciation for what our Native Americans do, and you'd be more willing to pay the price that they want for their pottery.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, we can add that to our list of potential challenges.
Could
Right,
be,
right.
definitely.
I have a question on the first one, Jeannie. Did you go? How
I'm
did?
trying here. Wait a minute.
Oh, it's okay. So what was the process? So you made the pot, you bisqued the pot, and then you painted underglaze, and then you went and did raku on it. I mean, how do you keep that? I don't understand how it went.
Oh, the whole thing, I did the underglaze. Did I do it? Yeah, I did do it on the bisqueware. Oh, we lost
No,
people.
that's me. I did that on purpose because I wasn't sure. There we go. Hang on. Okay. Sorry.
I actually, on that piece, was it Jeff Margolani that came up to the Beaches Wood and did a workshop a few years ago. That's actually a piece that he brought that I worked on. And I carved, because he was into carving. So the original one for the workshop was I carved the fish and the lily pads into the piece. And then I bisfired it, and I didn't know how to finish it. And then we had the underglaze workshop with Julia Feld the next year. So I used her techniques to color the fish with the underglazes. And then I raku fired it with a clear crackle glaze over the whole thing.
Mm.
And I waxed out the black area.
Do you find that
to make-
most underglaze colors work in the raku with the reduction?
Yeah, because I have a glaze over. There's a glaze over, a clear.
The glaze
clear.
protects it, so you haven't found colors that don't work out in the.
No, because it's low fire. It's no hotter than 06 or 05.
Right.
Is
Mhm.
that a raku clear you put on there?
Yes, it's a clear raku glaze that I have.
Yeah, that's really pretty.
And I waxed out the back of the areas that are black, so they'll
Yeah.
be smoke black. Mhm.
Right. It's nice.
So that's the result of 2 different workshops.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
excellent.
That's the one that's never going to be sold. That one's mine.
That's great. Anything more for Jeannie?
Mm-mm.
Okay, Bet.
Betty,
Oh, Betty, sorry.
that's okay. This is an owl sculpture, and let's see, he's about 8.5 inches tall, and he was built and painted with underglazes, including the piece of wood that he's supposedly sitting on. And the biggest challenge with him was getting the feathers right. That was took a lot of study, both building it and painting it. And he sits on our dining room table ever since we came home, and he watches very carefully what we eat. And this is a pot that was made in Jeannie's Zoom class for our Ojai Pottery School. And again, the Acoma pottery theme. This was one of 3 that I did. And again, it was a coil built pot using bee mix, I believe. And then I painted on the greenware. And I had it just about finished, and I accidentally hit the rim of it and broke off a little chunk. So I went ahead and sanded it down, repainted it so that it was smooth and looked right. I went ahead and bisque fired it. I made the butterfly and bisque fired that, and then I glued the butterfly with E6000 onto the pot. So it was a kind of a happy accident. Mhm. But again, the Acoma pottery colors and the symbols or the different design elements are all based on actual Acoma Pueblo pottery.
Do you have another one? Or is this the 3? I don't remember. No, here you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a hand-built platter using a mold and on slab. And the handles are sprigs that I attached. And again, that was painted at the greenware stage with underglazes. And it took me days to paint that because it's so detailed. I found the illustration in a wonderful book of nature images. I traced it. Well, actually, I got it sized to the correct size for the platter, and then I traced it just so I had the outlines, and transferred that with that pink. It's a clay carbon paper made by Mako, and then proceeded to color it in. And again, I learned so much, like Jeannie, I learned so much from Julia Feld. I took her workshop twice at Beatrice Wood. And she's definitely a fabulous teacher for underglaze. And I have one thing to show that I just finished painting today. If you want to.
Yep, there you are. You're on.
Here, this is him. This is him. Can you see?
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Can you see the Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Can you move it to the other side? Move it to
Right
your
in front
other
of you.
side.
Yeah.
What should I do?
Move it to your other side. There you
Over
go.
here.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
There you go, yeah.
There you go.
And if you
Yeah.
folks pick speaker view, then she'll be bigger if you want to see more.
Speaker view, I don't know what that is.
No, I mean everybody else. If everybody else does that and you keep talking, you'll be bigger.
Oh, okay, all right. So he's ready to be sprayed with the clear, zinc-free clear and put in the electric kiln. Okay, that's all. Any questions?
Betty, I just got some of that carbon paper that I'm excited to try to use.
Oh.
Any tips for using it? I got the two kinds that Mako sells. One that just leaves an image that burns out, another one that leaves like an underglazed line.
Huh. Is it pink?
I think so. I literally just got it a couple days ago, so I haven't even opened the package yet. But I got both kinds, so I know I have the kind that has the underglazed line.
Yeah.
Is that what you use for this?
There's one side that works and one side that doesn't. So test it out in an inconspicuous spot on the clay, and then mark that side. That's the side that goes down or up, or whichever. You'll figure it out.
And was there a temperature range that, or does it go to up, from 06 to 10?
Oh, I don't know about the other one. I just use the one that helps me trace an image.
Oh, okay.
That I can paint then. And yes, the lines on it they disappear.
I don't know why it says recording.
What cone did you fire this tray to?
It was in the electric kiln, so it was cone 6.
Oh, okay.
6, 7, something like that.
Does anybody have any more questions for Betty? All righty, we're gonna move on, assuming my, what the heck, why is it doing that? Ah, there, Randy. Here we go, Randy, here we go.
This is a group of
go and drop off those cookies. I'll be right back.
that I did a little while ago, and it's not so much about color, it's more about using the underglaze in a
Randy, I'm gonna
decoration
stop
way.
you for a second. Somebody just joins us, I think, and they're talking over the presenter.
So
It's Evan and Dane. Mute
you
yourself.
can mute them out.
Okay. There we go. All right, Randy, go.
Okay, so this is a series of cups. B-Mix Cone 10, cup shape, and I am not so much dealing with the underglaze in a color way, but more in a technique way. So these are done, and I think all the slides are of this series, so you can kind of work through them. The first thing I do, and this is all done in the greenware state, is I do an inlay, which is a Mishima technique. So I take a stylist and I carve a very delicate line, sort of random kind of delicate line. And then I layer black slip into that delicate line, and then I carve it away. So it just leaves the slip into the line, which gives it a very linear quality. And then I make paper stencils. So in this instance, I made paper stencils of hearts. I just make them out of newspaper. And I lay the paper stencil over the linear lines, kind of again in sort of a random kind of way. And then I paint black slip again over the paper stencil. And then when I lift the paper stencil off, there is this Mishima inlaid line that's underneath and revealed or not revealed. So it's kind of a layering of technique more than color. And then I do have one example that I can show you, which I also went back in and I did a little bit of slip trailing just to give it a very light tactile quality. I don't have them on these particular pieces, but I was
You
working
wanna,
off the,
do you have one in your hand? Did you want to
Yeah.
show or? Okay, okay, let me stop my sharing then. Okay,
so this is, of course, that it's in very bad light. I can't really see the light, but anyway, so this is the inlay. You see that very light line, and then the paper stencil with the darker area being the areas where the paper stencil wasn't. And then you can kind of see these really light white bumps. I don't know if you can see it if I pull it back
Yeah.
further. There are these very light little bumps that I've slip trailed white glaze over. Oh, there, maybe you can see that a little bit better. So there's these little, which I kind of liked when you're holding the cup. It gives it kind of this little bumpy sort of tactile quality to the actual piece. And I like it, but I don't like it. I'm not quite sure. I like the tactile quality. But if there's too much on there, it tends to be like too bumpy lumpy. So anyway, inlay, sort of an inlay, and then a random paper stencil, and then an overlaid slip trailing. And I've sort of done this in positive and negative fields. So this is a positive field with just an inlaid line. And then as you come around, this is a negative field. And this is, well, another positive field, which is more light than dark. White being the background, dark being the foreground. And then as you come around, it's reversed. So black being the background, white being the foreground. And then as you come around, it's kind of like a light, dark kind of panels. And I'm kind of working with this sort of heart. I don't know, what is that? Mexican, there's a name for it, the Sacred Heart, where it's a heart shape, and then there's these spikes that come out the top. The Sacred Heart of something. Anybody can help me? Anyway, that's sort of like the image I was working with. It's really hard to kind of see. Maybe jump back to the slides. I'm also doing this now, but I'm adding color. I'm adding a little bit of color. So anyway, that's, and then I have a different glaze on the inside. So I have a Celadon on the inside, a Rutil blue. So there's actually color on the inside. And then I've been sort of working with this loopy handle that kind of comes down and then has this little perch right here. I saw it in somebody's, but I just really like this handle where the fingers kind of sit underneath this little perch, but most like 2 or 3 fingers fit in this interior. And then just working with this sort of heart shape with the things coming out the top. Oh, and then I go back and I sgraffito. So this white line here, these little white lines are sgraffitoed lines. So I'm just working with black and white, but I'm doing different application techniques. That's kind of what I've been doing. That's all I have. That's, unless somebody has questions.
Randy, I was gifted one of your cups that had ginkgo leaves on it. I absolutely love it.
Oh yeah, that's paper stencil.
Well, it's beautiful. I love it. I would like a taller one. I'll have to contact you about that.
Okay, all right. I love making them. They're really a lot of fun.
And I like the tactile with the added
Little bit of the slip
dimension.
trailing. Yeah.
Yes.
And those ginkgo leaves, I just sort of cut out of paper, just kind of like I try and fake what a ginkgo leaf is, but then I go back in and sgraffito and try to reinforce the ginkgo image in other ways. Yeah. That's it. That's all I have. Okay, Stacy, you have to unmute yourself if you want to take back over.
Sorry. Sorry. So last call for Randy questions. So here we go. Next, see, I was Laura. Laura has. Is Laura here? Ah, Laura's not here. Well, let's look at her work, and if she comes in later, maybe we can ask her if we have any questions. So here's a plate. I see a theme here with birds and underglazes.
Applied clay.
Say what? Yes,
An applied clay.
applied clay.
Yeah, or sprigged or applied.
All right, but all right. Does anybody want to say anything about Laura? Because then we're moving on to Karen and Kirk. And I'll give you a second to read what Karen and Kirk said. But I'm also going to let Karen and Kirk speak for themselves because I see them on the shot. And this is
We're here.
my thing. I love these. So yay.
So, so we thought we'd do two birds at one stone and we'd enter something we both worked on. And so that's one of the nice parts when you have a partner that has the same interest. Kirk likes to make them and I like to decorate them. So this is he made, this is RSMC clay, and then he put a white flip on it, and then he didn't know what to do with these things. And so I don't know, we're mid-century modern fans, what can I say? And I use that pink tracing paper you're just talking about. And that pink tracing paper as a tip, it goes a long way. You can use the same piece of paper a million times, it seems like. So it's well worth it. I think I'm still using the same piece. So I find patterns like you were talking to Betty about online, and I size them to what I like. And then I trace them and then it's like a paint by number, but I just find it fun to do. So this is just a serving platter, and then we made mugs that go, and then they go together on a little serving tray.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's just a real simple little thing. That's really it.
Those
You know,
are
other
really
people are like, wow.
So this tracing paper doesn't actually transfer anything that prints. It just transfers something that burns out.
Yeah, totally. It's great.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
like carbon or something, because that would burn out.
It is. It's just carbon tracing paper, like when you used to sew and you use the tracing paper, it just goes away.
What makes it special for ceramics? Does it have
I think it's just, I don't know, it's weird because it's pink, like she said, it's pink and it transfers on with the black line. And it just, you know, for many of you are extremely talented people with art, you know, design and painting. And for us that aren't, it's like, there's a million internet black and white drawings out there I can pull from, you know, and size on a computer and then just transfer them. So it keeps you, you know, I find things I like.
So the Amico developed that tracing paper for Bisqueware. It does not work on anything else.
Okay.
And yes, you can use the same piece of paper over and over and over. But I love these. There's the brown clay then with a white slip on it.
Yeah. It's something we do a lot. We make stuff for our daughters and younger generation, and it's sad. They don't want any decorations. They just want white or brown and white, and that's it. We do a lot of clear, boring pieces here that are what our family requests. So every so often we do it for ourselves.
I love these because I'm a mid-century modern fan too. Does anyone have any more questions for Kirk and Karen?
I find it funny because my kids all want the drippy glazes. Can you put the drips in them? Can you put the
Yeah.
drips?
Oh, really?
That's
Oh,
funny.
no, man. I'm making a set for a bride, and I brought her up, and it's like, so how would you like these decorated? She goes, why? And I'm like, okay, fine. You're just getting a blank. Why?
Anything that drips and meshes together, they love it. So it's
Oh,
like,
that's
okay.
great. That's great.
Hey, Trudy. Are you there, Trudy?
I'm here.
All right. What do you, let's take a look at your work and your process here.
Ooh,
This was an experiment of going outside and finding leaves and things from nature and putting it on the piece and then covering it with slip. And then when I peeled the pieces off of this one, I set them to the side and then I turned them over and applied them to the next one. So it kind of became a stamp on the square one that was peeled off of the irregular rounder one. So I got double use out of the real leaves and things that I found out in the yard.
That's very cool.
I didn't think it would work to peel it off and then transfer what was left on the leaf to another piece, but it worked great.
How do you attach your leaves to the bisqueware or the greenware?
You know, I did these so many years ago. I think I just pressed them in and then painted the slip over them, and the slip was still kind of damp, and then pressed them into the other piece as a stamp, and it worked.
is that piece hand built?
Yes.
And you could, it looks like you could almost make a planter out of it.
They were supposed to be like vases. You know how you have those ones where there's something on the bottom, there's a slab of rock and there's a hole in the rock and you put your plants in the middle of it into a little frog thing.
Right, yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
that's what they were. And I just set it in my pond to take the pictures just so that I could have a record of it.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Did you apply the slip with a roller or a brush or?
Just a brush. And then these are two other things that I did. I found some plastic placemats that I thought were interesting. And embedded those into the clay and then formed the pieces. And while the placemat was still on the clay, I took the opposite color and painted over it with slip. So it was white clay with black slip and brown clay with white slip. And then peeled the plastic off, and it I don't know if you can tell it from there, but it's quite a texture on it. And it has the two different designs. And this was something similar. It was a leaf design. So it's white clay with black slip over it. And then the inside of it is just clear glaze.
Wow, wow.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Trudy?
Also, this was a leaf that was just the veins of a leaf on the outside of that to get that pattern, or?
No, actually it was, I went to Ross and I found this placemat that was for the holidays. And it's the tackiest thing that there could be, but when you apply it like this and use that method, it comes out looking pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I took some of those things, I got on a kick of that. I took some of them and cut sections out and then arranged them into a pattern so that it wasn't just one thing. There was a lot of negative space, and then the positive spaces were wherever I pressed the pattern into it.
Wow.
There was a piece of bisque that something broke, and I saved it. And after I bisqued it, I took that black slip and I painted like a bamboo form on it, and then fired it again. I thought that the slip would flake off of the bisque fire, but it didn't. It stuck and it wouldn't wear off.
Any more questions for Trudy? I'm gonna keep going here. Alina. Alina, tell us about the sea wolf. Sea wolf.
Yeah, so this plate is a result of collaboration with another guild member, Steve Ramirez. So he threw this plate. It's kind of big size, about 12 inches. And I believe that it's a B-mix. And then I did some drawing. It was several stages. This the first one was underglaze pencil over bisque to get the image. Then it was fired because I wanted to try watercolor effect and get this. Actually, I wet a lot this bisque plate to be able smooth some colors, and after that painting dried out, and another day I added contour line, mostly black line, and then it was fired for con 6, and after that it was just clear glaze over this plate, and actually there was some, I don't know what happened, but some part of this painting was with blue color, but it burned out. I don't know why. Actually, I have this plate even right here. If you will see. Oh, please. Do you?
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, so it's a big plate. Maybe Steve will add something.
That's a beautiful illustration.
Thank you. And this one, it's a slab, and it was some carving on the greenware, and I put mostly oxides, rutile and iron oxides. Then it was fired, and to get some more deep color, I also added some underglazes and a little bit maybe just a tiny amount of clear glaze with water, just to get some shining. And also here you can see they're about 9 or 12 inches, kind of big. And I have anything here, just one piece for.
Oh, wait, okay, hang on, give me a sec. There. Go ahead, we can see you now. We couldn't see it before. Now show me. There you go.
Okay. So
you only glaze the tree?
It's even glazed with water. It's just very tiny amount of glaze, clear glaze. Just
on the tree, or is it on everything?
Shining. It was for content firing on soldate 60.
Wow, it's so thin.
Yeah, so it's light, thin.
Beautiful. No warping.
Does anyone have any more questions for Elena?
Yeah, when you did the plate, you said you did the base drawing with an underglaze pencil.
Yeah, underglaze pencil, right?
Just like a black or gray.
Yeah, just black, and actually even it was fired with pencil, just with pencil drawing, because after that I wet a lot this plate before I applied underglaze.
So you fired it to a second bisque?
Yeah, it was second bisque, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was painting, again firing, and then clear glaze, and it was sprayed over this because with underglaze painting, it just might with brush, I was afraid that it will be broken. So it was spraying.
Awesome. All right, moving on, unless somebody tells me not to. Kate, here's your pot, Kate.
Okay, so this is a coil built pot and with rod bod. And what I did is in the greenware stage, I used tissue paper to properly space each one of those circles. And I just used a little bit of water to put it on to make it stick. And once they were properly spaced, I put some wax over them, and then I set the pot on a banding wheel and started with my lines in black velvet underglaze, and then I fired it. And then once I had that template, then I went in and I just painted little pictures in each one of the circles going around. And that's it.
Does anyone have any questions for Kate?
What's the glaze you have on the top half?
That's called, I can't think of the name of it right now. Jeannie would know. What's that blue glaze, Jeannie, at SBCC that everybody loves? I can't think of it right now. Everybody loves that blue glaze. It's on Monday, something Monday. What is it?
Blue Monday, okay.
Yeah,
I was
that's Blue
asking
Monday.
you what it was. Okay, Blue Monday.
Yeah, Blue Monday. And then there's some rutile on the sides and around kind of a little bit.
So this went to cone 10 gas?
Yes.
Came out beautiful.
Thanks.
How big is it?
It's about 8 by 8, something like that.
Oh, that's pretty big. Thanks. Okay, we're gonna move on. Sandra, are you here? I didn't see Sandra. Okay, well, we'll take a look at Sandra's work. She has a nautical theme, as she said. Mermaids and seals, well, sea lions perhaps. She's also got that texture. More birds. I love this actually. Any comments? And we're on to Terry. Miss Terry. There you go.
All right. Why don't you scroll, go through them and come back to this one just real quick.
Okie doke.
Okay, so those last images showed some ferns with colored backgrounds and green ferns, and actually there's a green and green vase in the upper left corner, and that was my first my first decorative scheme that I started working on last year, a couple of years ago. And somewhere along the line, I decided to get a bunch of different colored stoneware clays to make pots for the garden. And I got just different colors so that they would look different. So here I had all these new clays, Terra Red and some kind of buff ones and stuff. And at first you can, okay, go to the next slide. So at first I just streaked them together and with some rough some rough rustic hand building. And you can see some of those had clear glaze that was dripped on, because the clear it makes a little bit different color from an unglazed portion. Like the one in the middle is that's Terra Red on the top, and the glaze turns it a really dark brown. So that was interesting. And but then I'm thinking, well, I have these different colored clays. Why don't I do the same thing with the leaves with these different colored clays? So you can go to the next slide. So that's what I started doing. And in this case, instead of painting color on the leaves and pressing them into the clay, I just press them into the clay and brushed slip on top of the leaves and pulled them away, and used a couple different kinds of slip. These all have a Terra Red base structure with that's B3 brown on the bottom, that's the black portion, and a couple of light clays from Aardvark. One's called Cavendish and one is called Sedona Red, although I don't understand the red aspect of it. So I would brush those on top of the leaves and then peel the leaves away, and I was done. So then I glaze the inside of the pot. So that was fun to do. And so I just continued exploring that technique, and I'm still doing that a lot right now. Let me see. I've had, okay, so this is back to what I originally was doing with the ferns. And in these cases, I brushed stain on the underside on the leaves, and then pressed them into the clay, and then pounced the color on top. So using the sleeves as stencils. Sometimes I will brush slip on the piece, a green slip, and then put the leaves on and clean it up, and then put the color on. But I find that the ones like these two, where I actually applied color to the leaves and then put the leaves on, they get a little more of a painterly look. So anyway, that's what I've been up to.
Where's the Terra Red clay from?
That is an Aardvark clay.
It's a nice red.
Yeah, it's a really it's a really beautiful.
Is that a cone 10 clay?
It's a cone 5/6 clay. Now I'm not sure if they make a 10 version or not.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a really nice clay. It's real smooth. There's no grog in it or anything. It's very nice to work with.
Any more questions for Terry? All right. Marie, are you here? Marie is our featured artist at the online store this month, and she's doing very well, and she uses a lot of underglaze, as you can see. I was hoping she'd be here because I wanted to talk to her about those photographs.
Yeah, I'm sorry she isn't here. I had a little email exchange with her, and I was really excited to see her pieces, because she just does
Well, wait till you, yes, let's keep going. See, look at
I wanted to hear more about it.
that. These are beautiful.
Yeah.
She's sold quite a few of these different animals. Wait, I thought there was the rooster. We don't have the rooster. There's the rooster.
The rooster and the cow series.
Yeah, and she's got a rabbit.
Yeah, yeah, those are really nice. Yeah, I can see those doing well in the online store.
All right, Rebecca,
I'm here.
here you go.
Okay. Because of the COVID, I had to switch to low fire clay. And this is clay that I had in a big barrel in the back from my classes, early kids classes. And so I decided to use the I don't even know how to pronounce it, Majelica glaze. It was given to me as a gift from Lori. And I'm still working on it. This is on a form, it's kind of a sculptural form, and it's a single firing. I remember now. What I do is I make it and then I paint it and then I put the Majelica glazes on top. I even got those as a gift. And that's what I've been doing. And I'm a long way from being done. And I have a piece here that I have, if you want to give me my screen here, there it is. This is what I was talking about, a straight, this is the Majelica. This is the way it looks on if you paint it really good on a red clay, it's all nice and even. I was having trouble, it looked all spotty. I didn't like it before. So now I've done that, and I do a single firing on these because they're small. And on the pieces that have no glaze on some of the areas I just spray it with an acrylic to give it a shine. And that's what I do. And I've got a long way to go.
Nice to see your calla lilies back.
Okay, yeah.
Nice to see the calla lily. Nice to
Put
see
the
calla
calla lilies back,
coming back.
Stacy.
Oh, okay.
There. Okay. Yeah, I like the way they came out. They're kind of free form and more artsy. And the colors, I didn't try to cover it all. I like the red clay. I like the color of the red clay. So I wanted that to show.
And what clay is that? Is that also Terra Red?
No, that's Laguna clay. And I have to admit that I've been teaching in the kids' classroom and I used a low fire clay, and I had a huge barrel in the backyard, and that's what I've been using. So it's a bunch of red clays mixed together. But it's an I fired to 04.
Like the flower pot type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's EM 343 or something, Laguna. It has a little bit of grog, some of it, and some of it did not. So it's all mixed together.
How are these glazes different than ordinary glazes?
They're tin glazes. They originally were started by the Italians because they were trying to copy the Chinese technique. And that's kind of where it started. I'm still learning. Like I said, I'm very beginning on this. So I have a lot to learn. But I just like the colors of them. They're sharp. The colors are sharp if you use the red background. I don't like it on white at all. I don't like it on a white body.
Huh. So interesting.
Yeah, the Majelica glazes were intended to be, when the Italians introduced them, all they had was red clay. So they found that if they glazed their red clay with white, they could paint on top of the white glaze, and it would look like what the Chinese was doing on porcelain. So yeah, they're painted on top of a white glaze.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I like it on the red clay and have the red clay show through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Majelica glazes too have a natural gloss, do they not?
Yes. Yes, the glazes do. Yes, it all does. It's just that some of the area where I don't have any paint on it, I do and spray it with an acrylic so that it's uniform.
Right, right.
And what do these fire to? The glaze?
Code, I go to 04.
Mhm.
They're low fire. Yeah.
All right. Any more questions for Rebecca? We were talking at length before we started about Madolica. Oh,
I'm
me.
just going to keep working with it.
All right. So, okay, so this is me. I use underglazes a lot. Not in a painterly way because I can't paint or draw, but I mostly use them for when I do line work, which is just tape. And I switched to frost porcelain, so I have a beautiful white stripe when I pull the tape off. If I use B-Mix to do any kind of line work like this, I'll paint it with white underglaze, and then I'll bisque it, and then I'll do the line work or the decal work after that. And I can't get the tape or the decals to stick to greenware, so I do all of that in the bisque process after it's been bisqued. I mean, also I'm like really clumsy, so if I actually tried to work on greenware, I'd probably break it all the time. And so then here's some stencil work. It's all the same thing. But I also use underglazes to paint a lot. So all of this is underglaze except for the black. And my whole struggle usually is because I also use a lot of solid, not primary colors, because you're primary and secondary, everything, but glazes. And so I always try to figure out, well, should I just use the glaze? Because in some ways that's easier. Should I just use the underglaze? And so that's always sort of the first decision that I want to make. But I find when I'm doing stencil work or line work, and I use the glazes, the colored glazes, I don't get clean lines because it chips too much. And the underglazes, really give me a nice clean line. And I usually bisque them twice, although now I've started spraying the clear on more. So I maybe will be able to avoid the second bisque because I'm going to be spraying. And last but not least, it's been a struggle to find a good clear glaze that doesn't bubble on the dark blacks and blues and doesn't get milky on the reds and doesn't get rough on the greens and yellows. So the problem is with all these different color underglazes, the clear glaze reacts differently to the different colors on the piece, especially when they're in these big blocks of color. But I think I finally found a clear glaze that's going to work for me. So that made me very happy.
Which clear? I'm dying to know which clear.
Okay, so and I have permission to say this. So I take classes with Ki Cho, who is the owner of Echo Art Studio down in LA. He and his wife own that pottery studio. They've been there forever, and it's their own clear glaze. But,
okay.
But he won't give me the recipe, but he makes 5-gallon buckets for me. So if you're interested, I would just call Echo Ceramics or Echo Art Studio now. They've changed their name, and ask for Ki Cho, K-I Cho, C-H-O, and find out if he'll make you a bucket. It's
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a really great glaze. It's very forgiving.
What does it
I have a comment to make about a really good clear for any kind of underglaze is Amico, and it's called Sahara, and it goes up to cone 10. And I mostly spray it on, but I have absolutely no problem with it getting cloudy or changing the colors. It's really a super product. So it's called Amico Sahara High Fire, goes to cone 10.
I've tried it and I had freezing.
Yeah,
Really?
I don't like it either. It's given me, Trust me, I've tried almost every clear glaze out there. I didn't like it either.
Did you use the zinc free?
Yes, yes, the zinc
Yes, I did.
free.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. But anyway, I'm happy now. I have a clear glaze.
So
So
what,
Stacy, what type of tape do you use for those lines?
So I actually I've also tried 5,000 kinds of tape. And actually I buy the more pricey 3M artist tape because it bends better. So you can get it on Amazon, just, 3D.
No, Stacy, I think it's called, the stuff I use for the tape is called whiteboard tape. They sell it for marking up whiteboards.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so it's a really cheap. And so it comes in colors, which is like no big deal because you just rip it off, but it comes in different widths. And on Amazon, it's sold as whiteboard tape.
Okay, I am going to check that out.
Oh, good.
And
Thank you.
Stacy, also Kirk and I went to Eco and visited them because I'm from Pasadena, and they had some very beautiful glazes in their place and you try to steal the recipes. They have a board up there to show. We took pictures of the glazes and see if we could reproduce the colors they came up with.
Yeah, it's a good, if you're looking for a studio to work at down in the LA area, I would definitely recommend them, especially if you're a little more advanced. Because you can have 24-hour access. I used to work out of there when I lived down in LA.
Your underglazes are on so evenly, just brushed on in layers.
Yeah. See, like if you look at this plate, if you look at that chartreuse thing, you can see that the underglaze, the greens suck the underglaze in, and the red ones get cloudy. So I've had to put extra coats on certain colors and lighter coats on other colors. But I don't think I'm gonna have to do all of that with the other clear I'm using.
What kind of underglazes do you use, Stacy?
I pretty much exclusively use the Amico velvet. Although actually for some colors I like the Amico LUGs better, the liquid underglaze, because they have more color in them, especially for the blue, because the blue can be patchy in the velvet, but it's much smoother in the LUGs, but they're more expensive too. So I only use them for specific colors.
Yeah. Do you have any trouble with the greens?
Yeah, the greens suck. The greens can get dry if they don't have enough underglaze on them, or if they don't have enough clear glaze on them, that they get dry. So you have the red piece that'll be opaque, and then you'll have the green parts where it'll get sucked dry, and then you'll have a black part where it'll bubble.
Oh boy.
So you know what I'm saying with the different colors and the same thing. So I'm working through that, but I think I'm almost there.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right. Next, Lauren Hansen. This is a beautiful piece.
Oh my gosh.
Just recently out of the salt firing. I had to touch up some colors, and there's still a little more I want to do to it with China paint, but it starts out as
Can't hear you, Lauren.
drawing. You can't hear me?
No.
What do I do? Can you hear me better? Wait, turn up the volume. Still can't hear me? What can I do to?
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Better.
Just talk loud.
Yeah, just talk loud.
High as I can go.
Use your teacher voice.
I don't think I have a teacher voice. It's just starts with a line drawing, and then I etch the lines. I paint on some of the colors in underglaze. It's been a very long road in the salt kiln because a lot of the underglazes don't work. So you have, like, greens are really hard, and I've touched up the greens with China paint on this one, and the background's just a rutile slip. I like the idea. I've played with this idea of still lifes on a vase a few times. So it's like a vase on a vase. And I don't know, I think a lot of artists are like me. You tend to collect little things from nature and they sit around on the table and have a vase of flowers. So still life's kind of developed haphazardly at my house with shells and twigs and things from nature as long as a vase. So this is my summer still life, and I'm going to do another one for winter next.
Wow.
That's really beautiful. So what cone is that? How'd you fire that?
Salt firing, cone 10. And then a China painting firing to touch up some of the colors that are really hard to get in a salt kiln.
Where do you fire salt? Cone 10.
Oh, at West Campus UCSB. I teach a class with Dane, an advanced class with Dane there. And we have a salt kiln.
Any more questions for Lauren?
Do you, Lauren, do you find that any of the salt fuming changes when you do a China paint firing, or does it stay pretty?
No, I never see any change. It's so low. It just stays away. I'm finding with China painting in general, at that low temperature, at like whatever 016 or 018, whatever temperature that is nothing changes, whether it's just a regular high fired piece or I have never seen anything change. I certainly have, put something at bisque and seen a lot of changes, but I have never seen it change at 018, what's underneath.
So is West Campus letting people who are not students sign up for classes now?
No, they're allowing students and retirees and faculty. They're kind of limited right now.
Sure. Okay.
COVID
maybe next semester?
Well, probably not this coming one that starts in January, but maybe the following one.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on. Rebecca Catterall.
So this is one of my pieces I've done, several along this series. I'm sort of the polar opposite from the people who are spending days painting. I studied brush painting several different places along the way, and I like the spontaneity, so it's very quick. And it really is a question of how you load your brush, and you have one shot at getting the image down. This is on B-Mix with a clear bright, Laguna clear bright over it, fired to cone 5. And then I did a soft spray of another kind of a greenish glaze to make it look misty. And I've been using Spectrum underglazes, and they're a lot cheaper than the Amico, the velvets. And I just ordered, because Laguna did a special on a you buy 2, get 1 free for their pints. I'm going to try their silky underglazes. They're just as expensive as I think as the Amico, but I'm just curious. I'd like to stay away from the pricier underglazes. But anyway, just kind of curious what people are using. I know that a lot of people use the Amico, the velvets, but this is the Spectrum, and I have underglazes from bottles all over my studio of different brands, but I do like the way this one works. And Speedball's pretty good too.
What kind of brush do you use?
I use a typical bamboo brush that, you can get them in Chinatown in bookstores, or if you travel over to Asia, it's always a good place, to pick up a brush, or you have a friend going. I usually would say, pick up a brush for me. So I've got a nice collection of brushes.
Rebecca, do you practice your brush strokes on paper before you do your final on the clay, or do you just do it spontaneously?
Well, all the studying I did of brush painting was all on paper.
Yeah.
But I find if I kind of center myself and take a deep breath before I paint, because you have to kind of go, this is about, I don't know, it's at least 10 inches across. So you have to kind of go the distance with it.
Yeah.
But I try to control my breathing before I paint.
Mhm, mhm.
But for now, I don't practice on paper unless I haven't painted for a while. And I seem to have a rapid development with bamboo. I studied lots of different things to paint, but I do like the bamboo.
Mhm.
Lovely.
How different does it look before it's fired? Does the underglazes that you use, do they look similar to what it is when it's finished?
I think so. This is a lot of the ones I'm using now. I'm trying to be more fauvish and not caring about having it look realistic. And I'm using a lot of reds and blues and oranges, you know, just to make it pop a little bit more. And it is that way. It's pretty true.
Mhm. It must be very different to paint on a clay surface though than doing brush painting on paper. I've only done it on paper.
Well, I'm glad I was going to say something about that. I usually rinse my pots before I glaze them to get any dust off. And what I found, if I rinse my pot and then paint, it gives it a little bit more of a slick surface to paint on.
Oh, okay.
So get it if it's slightly damp, but not so much that it's going to run.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to go with the curve of the pot, which can be a challenge. But
yeah, wow. Mm-hmm.
Do you paint on a banding wheel so that you can turn the pot while the brush is in contact?
No, usually just holding it or on a table, depending on the size.
Mm-hmm.
But it's quick and it's always on bisque. And you can always wash it off if you screw up. Or you just say, you know, you can see there's a little dot where when I was spraying the glaze, I got a dot on it, but I always figure that's part of the pot.
Yep.
Any more questions for Rebecca? We're nearing the finale. Let's see. Here's Cass. Here you go, Cass.
Hi there. Okay, so I've done several patchwork bowls, is what I call them. Usually, they've all been very full color, bright colors. This was the first time I tried to do one in just black and white. So it's black speedball underglazes inlaid in a mishima technique, and that's just under a clear glaze. And the patterns continue on the outside of the pot too, so that it really looks like it's pieces of broken pots that have been put together. And I like the black and white. I like that it made me go outside of the normal kinds of patterns and motifs I've been using and look for things that would work in monochrome. So and that was a challenge. So I really enjoyed that. And I'm going to be, I think, trying it again. This, I inlaid the outline to the palm trees at the greenware stage, again with the mishima. And then at the bisque stage, I used, again, speedball underglazes, and I used them in a watercolor strength to create the sort of ombre effect of the setting sun, the sky at the time of sunset. And actually at the base of the handle, there's a blush of yellow of the sun just disappearing below the horizon. And then I just, again, filled in the palms with underglazes as well and put that under clear. And I've made a couple of these, and they're actually inspired. I have a dear friend who's an oil painter, and she does these amazing towering palm trees and these fiery skies. And I was like, can I please put that motif on a mug or something? And she's like, yes, please, please. And I've showed them to her and she loves them. But I was just so inspired by her work. I had to do something about those palms. I just had to get them out of my head. So. And then this last one, it was just a simple little tray, a little slab tray. And just again, a watercolor effect with the underglazes. And then going back over, just with the blue, and then just going back over with the black underglaze and a very, very fine brush to get the detailing on the flowers. And I generally tend to use underglazes in a watercolor strength. I don't tend to use them full strength. And as I've asked before about clear glazes, I've been struggling to find clear glazes that don't create glaze flaws over various underglaze colors. Pinholing is the problem I get most often, and I've gone on a wonderful tour of clear glazes from just about every manufacturer, and I'm still looking. Right now I'm using Speedball, and I think their Speedball's only clear, and I think it's better, but I'm going to be trying to bisque fire hotter and see if that helps the problem as well. As well as I'm going to start re-bisque firing anything that I've done underglaze work on before I put clear on it and see if that helps. But anyway, I think that's all three of them. Yeah. So.
Hey, Cass, when I get my bucket from Key, I'll give you a jar and you can try it. You can do.
Thank you. That would be so awesome. Thank you so much.
But you're going to have to remind me.
Okay. Happily. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything for Cass? We're going to keep moving here. Luann. Now, these are the birds.
Yeah, hi, I'm normally with my bird work, I use under the Amico Velvet underglazes to cone 10 electric oxidation. So this one's just painted, and I can scrape back. I do it in the greenware, so I can scrape back on those and get the white. And then the vase piece, after that talk a while back, I got some of these underglaze transfer papers, and this is the first piece I was playing around with the transfer papers, and I also bought a set of pottery watercolors, so I was using both of those items. And this also went to cone 10 oxidation with a clear over it. So, yeah. Oh, and this one, the bird is painted on bisque and gone to cone 10 reduction. Anyway. And that quail is the top of a totem pole in the garden. It's about this big. Anyway.
Any questions for Luann? I want to make a road runner. That's mine.
Oh, cool.
Have you made a road runner?
Not yet.
Oh, you have a challenge on birds. Okay, let's keep going. Lynn Render.
Hi, this is pretty self-explanatory. Years ago, Jenny Lynn did a demonstration at one of the NCECA conferences in San Diego. And so I attended that, and she was generous to share her recipes for the engoves and her clear glaze. Her clear glaze does not eat the greens in colors. And I was doing cone 6 at the time, and so here's what I did then.
Painterly. Questions? Okay, last but not least, we have our president, Wynn Matthews.
Thought there was someone after me.
There is, but I don't think she's here. Okay, 3 from the 80s, 3 from now.
Okay, so these are cone 10 oxidized porcelain. It was our own porcelain body. And we raw glazed everything, once fired everything. So these are not commercial slips or colors. They're all things that we mixed. This is the slip trailing on the top right, bottom left corners is the same formula as any blue, like, watercolor level. It's just thicker or thinner. And then there's graffito in the gray. That platter is about 14 inches. The covered little jar before that's about 10 inches. This is about maybe 8 or 9 inches across. And then this is cone 6. And it's as close as you can get to oxidation in a little gas electric kiln. I mean, a gas electric kiln, little gas kiln. So most glazes and colors come out the same as electric, but there are a few glazes that are heavy in copper and iron and stuff that just don't work with the tiny bit of reduction. Anyway, these are all with Coyote underglazes.
That's nice.
Do you prefer Coyote to any of the other brands?
I bought the Coyotes because I wanted to work with them at Cone 10. And a lot of the colors from, even Amico, my experience, they say some of their colors work at Cone 10. They lose some strength. So that's why I had the Coyotes. That's why I used them.
Any more questions? Yes, and Lisa unfortunately had to leave early. She said goodbye, but here is some of her work. I like that. And this is a kitty butt. So there. Yay! Yay for us. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
All right. So does anyone have anything else that they want to share? Anybody have any live pots they want to wave around or anything?
I'd like to say that I like that we did this twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because it got me to try things that were on my someday I'll get around to it list. Yeah.
Well, we're going to be taking suggestions. We've got a couple already out of here tonight. So, but we want to get more in. We'll send out a chat. I think that's a great idea to send out.
Yeah. Let people talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. We'll come to a consensus. Okay, now it's time for our door prizes. And Ellen is not here, but she donated a lot of our door prizes for us. Let's see. Okay. 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 So we're gonna pull names, and I've put together some packages that you can choose from. And once we get through the packages, then we'll have our grand prize, which is a $25 gift card from Amazon. Or if you wanted to do Sheffield or some other place like that, we could do that. So I call this the Make Your Mark package. I call this Wood Paddle 1. It was late last night, I was tired. So we have lots of texture stuff, which comes from Ellen, that makes sense, and some trim and other mark tools. This is Wood Paddle 2. Texture Paddle 1. So she has and there's a different texture on the other side, but it's a similar looking texture. I like this one because I want that thing that you trim the foot with. So that's Texture Paddle 2. And then there's this beautiful rolling pin. It's like pristine. And some more trim tools and stamps, and then the gift certificate. So I will start with the drawing the first name.
And does the person that wins get to choose their package or what?
Except for the $25 gift certificate, which we'll do that.
Okay.
Sound good? All right. So our first winner is Lauren Hansen. Are you there, Lauren? Is Lauren still with us? I think Lauren left.
She's
She
not
left.
on the list of participants.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you could check that for me. That would be great. Okay, next. Foz, are you here?
Yes.
All right, you won.
So was one of the later ones that I
Okay,
liked.
so I'll go through them all. Okay, so there's that. Wood paddle 1, wood paddle 2, texture paddle 1, texture paddle 2, rolling pin plus.
I'll take texture paddle too, and you can have the foot trimmer.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, what a wonderful person you are. Oh, I didn't put my name in, so I can't win anyway, just so you know. I can't fudge this. All right.
You can have the foot trimmer.
Thank you, Foz. Yay. That's very nice of you. All right, let's see. Who's next? Randy? Randy, you won last year. You always win. Are you there, Randy? Did he leave?
No, I'm here.
Ah,
Yay.
yay, Randy. Okay, so you can pick anything but texture paddle 2.
Texture paddle 1.
Texture paddle 1.
Texture paddle 1.
All right.
Yay.
Yay. And for most of you, I'll put these, I have these in little bags. And for most of these, I'll put these, the bag with this in the gallery, on my shelf in the gallery. But if that doesn't work for you in terms of picking things up, just we'll email, okay? All right, next is, let's see here. Karen Wall. Karen, are you still here?
Yes, I am. My husband says we never win, so I'm happy to say he wants the rolling pin.
All right, rolling pin. It's a beautiful, lovely, lovely rolling pin. Okay, rolling pin plus. All right. You're welcome. All right, hang up. Okay. Okay, Betty Schneider, are you still here?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, woo-hoo. Okay, so what we have left is make your mark, wood paddle 1, and wood paddle 2.
I'll take make your mark.
Make your mark. All right. I don't know, people don't want the wood paddles. Luann Smith, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you're wood paddle 1 or wood paddle 2? And the wood paddles, one of them has, they're like flat on the back, so.
Okay, can I see the wood paddle 1 again? Yeah, I think I'll take that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. Cass. Cass, are you there?
Hi.
Hi. I
How
think
is it time for the show?
you've got wood paddle 2 coming your way.
Russ said he liked that one, so he's very happy.
Well, it just all works out. That's fantastic.
That's great. Thank you so much.
No problem. We all need to thank Ellen for this. I'll email everybody that won and we'll figure out how to get you your stuff. But Ellen is the one that.
I mean, that's
Everything I can find.
All right. And now for the $25 Amazon gift certificate.
please.
Okay, well, I didn't know how to even get back.
Jennifer, are you here? Jennifer Robles? Yeah, Jennifer, you're here, right?
Here.
You won a $25 gift certificate.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. I'll be in touch and we'll figure out how to get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. Well, that concludes my work here. But chat amongst yourselves.
Thank you, Ellen and Stacy.
Well done.
I mean, Terry and Stacy.
And Ellen too.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Great. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it pays to show up.
Yeah, Randy. It does. This was great. I learned a lot.
It was fun seeing everybody's work. Thank you, everybody, for sharing.
Thank you.
You. All right. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy
holidays.
Holidays.
Thank you.
Bye.
Holidays. Thanks,
Happy
everyone.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yeah,
Stay dry.